Uh, I'm Margaret in Windsor, and I guess you can tell by the way I look this morning that I've been through some hell the last, well, ongoing, but with fumes I'm allergic to them. They were deliberately put to make me move, run me. And I've put all this up before. So, what I wanted to get to today, right now, and I'm not sure it's doing me any good to put it up. The law doesn't work for me, all right? Unless you can get an attorney, get it into court, get the media to do their job, you're lost. And I'm going to say again, I didn't put a Larry Flint Hustler magazine where he endorsed me up because that at least gets attention, and I thank him for doing that. I wrote and by way of just a little background, I wrote a medical malpractice book, MD: A License to Kill, while living at Moonraker Apartments in Marietta, Georgia. And Larry Flint was shot during that time I was doing the book, March the 6th of 78. And it was a program shooter. I was flown out to Flint's, and I'm leaving out April Fool Day and all that was done to me. And by the way, I had a letter from the FBI that was sent to me June the 23rd, my father's birthday, but it was of 78, ongoing investigation, national security involved. So now I'm out at Flint's, and he helped me in the campaign. And here's where I'm going to skip to this part. And I'm allergic to chemicals. And my immune system, when I'm around toxic fumes, I mean, it can be a living hell when they're deliberately used on me. And that's exactly what's been done. Uh, so it makes my immune system attack itself. Inflammation is horrible. And I think the last 3 days has been part of the worst that I've experienced, and nobody will touch it. And I put up pictures and everything about the people that have gotten wealthy here in Roanoke. I try to leave and I'm run back. Um, so this is where I meant to be, but I guess I'm going to, if I can run or crawl, I'll get out of Roanoke, okay? I haven't committed a crime. They've been committed against me: assault, chemical warfare, you name it, other than my kidnapping. So I put up about the Shaw and Patels that own all these motels around here in Roanoke, and God knows how many. Uh, I think they own some communication center in Charlottesville, etc. And no telling how many out from Roanoke. But they have amassed wealth here. And they have connections on up. I'm just saying connections, okay, up to the senators. I put up where some of the senators, former governors, had talked about and sent their letters of praise when he opened the Quality Inn, a new one here. Shaw did. I put that up. But some of these people going up, and then it goes to India, has become a friend. It used to be a colony, British colony, and now then uh, the India and the Americans are liking each other, and especially the people here. And they have gotten wealthy, and they've done it by, they were supposed to be helping me, so I was told the Patels were sent here. Well, that's not what happened. Look at me. I have been run in my life a living hell, made a fool out of me, I guess, if that's the way people want to view it. Now, I want to get to this. I've already put that up, and they've done everything but, anyway, I want to put this up. And I want to keep it, I hope, where you can hear it. I went to the embassy after I came up here to Roanoke. I went there July of 78. And it's while the Iran Contra uh, hearings were going on. And I believe it was 25th of July. Maybe that was a Sunday. But the hearings were just shut down. Okay. I came back. I went to the embassy, though, while I was up there. And when I came back, I stayed up north of the Peaks of Otter Lodge, about 6 miles, and it's off on a little, where there's a little pond there, and you can fish there. It doesn't have many in it. So this is what I lived off of. I'd starved and frozen. I at least had a piece of a car then. But what I wanted to say was, my jobs were shut down, everything, living, all of it. And I lived there because I had to. And I'd get little fish out of the pond that were so small, and I'd boil them and just about throw up trying to eat them, but at least it was food. Anyway, one of the detectives came up, and I didn't know he was a detective. He came up in a van, and I was telling him about knowing about mind control, murders, and Jens Soerings. Well, he was going to bring me a hamburger and some food back, and I didn't know he was a cop. Well, at nighttime, two cars were out there with floodlights. It scared me to death, but anyway, they got out, and they were nice enough to me. I got in the car with one of them in the front seat, by the way, instead of the back. They took me down to Bedford, to the jail. And this is going on now, dark, and I waited there, I believe, till about 1 o'clock. And they didn't lock me up. They put me in front of the cell and gave me coffee, and then put me in a van about 1 o'clock, and the policeman brought me back over to Roanoke. It's running me from one place to the other, keeping me deliberately homeless. And I stayed at the Salvation Army that night on a piece of a sofa and slept for about 3 hours, and was put out on the street again. And the only place I could go was back up where they got me, to my tent, and back up there. I had a piece of a tent. Now then, the next day, very next day, the day I went back up where they'd just taken me from the mountain, Jens Soerings was brought in to Bedford jail, and he was put in that cell, it's my understanding, where they had me sitting in front of it. Now then, Jens Soerings and Elizabeth Haysom is mind control murder, and it happened the last of March or the 1st of April, when I still had the Larry Flint Hustler car that they furnished me, and I was actually pumping gas and working in a convenience store to have a place to live and food at Reineke's. And I'm going to say this now, the FBI agent that was supposed to be retired would come in often, and I would pump gas, and he'd come in the store, and he said to me, they've made it so ludicrous, and he meant the FBI, and he was FBI. And I do remember that, because I remember meeting him with my husband back a long time ago at Brown Engineering, and what was said to me then. And he's the good guy. His name's supposed to be Agent Noe. He said and he meant the FBI, made it so ludicrous. Everybody knows that you're telling the truth, gives them a chance to help or walk away. Well, they can't walk fast enough. So anyway, Jens, these murders happened, and I told everybody they were done in patterns. And Jens and Elizabeth, I later am up in Grottoes when that happens. The murders happen in Bedford County, and they're students at the University of Virginia. Our paths crossed briefly, Jens and mine. He was the diplomat's son. If I reiterated that, I'm sorry. But when I was in the campaign to replace Congressman Larry McDonald, the plane that went down the KAL, and I was in the process of being out at Larry Flint's home a couple of nights in October, but I was doing a temp job, and I was sent out to Lovell School, I keep confusing the name of it, and Jens and Chad, okay, were students there. Now I want to jump back to this, and I'm going to read part of it before this goes off. There isn't anybody around here that doesn't know the truth. The same thing applies to Jens Soerings, and if they ever tell the truth about it, they dislike him because he's German. Well, they have disliked me because I'm English, British. Granted, my mom, Georgia O'Keeffe's sister, Claudia, married to my father, Edward VIII, that Simpson spy married a double. That whole thing was a takedown of the British government, and they kidnapped me. But the people around here know the truth. And before I lose my train of thought again, I want to read part of this. By the way, one of the things that's brought this back into the headlines is that former governor and U.S. Senator, now VP candidate with Hillary Clinton, of all people, was the one who was going to let Jens go back to Germany and spend the rest of his time. Well, it was cut. It didn't happen. McDonald became governor, and this has come back in the headlines recently. And then the last few weeks, well, about 2 weeks ago or three, Jens' attorney had a new attorney, and it was told that positively he did not commit the murders. That means Elizabeth didn't either. It's Elizabeth's family that were killed, Derek and Nancy, and her father was British Canadian, and I believe she's Canadian, and the mom was American. Now, I want to read, by the way, Yen's attorney, I've forgotten, okay, what was his, well, I don't see his name right here, but he told them, one of his attorneys told them if he represented Jens, he would have repercussions. Well, they went after him, and last I heard, he was in Florida and his license had been pulled and everything. So here is what they said about Elizabeth Haysom. And these people, believe me, know the truth about it. Elizabeth wore shapeless clothing and pulled her hair back severely from her forehead. Updike would later say she had the appearance of a martyr, the Joan of Arc look. Okay, now then, Yen said something about those yokels, which people here didn't like. So, everybody in this knew the truth about it. It was a mind control done in patterns, and it is so sick. And the only reason it came into, it finally got up on, you have to get the mainstream media, which is controlled by the Rockefellers and Rothschild, the Freemasons, the ones that kidnapped me and took down my father. And by the way, Winston Churchill, I found out not long ago, burned my father's file, where my father was really married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, and that I was born Victoria II, heir to the British Crown. And yes, it is legal. So I guess this is where I let it go here. I put up and had so much done, but you have to, my point is, the media will not touch it. And I want to reiterate again on some of the mind control murders done in patterns. And the more the cover up, the more the people want to cover it up. Okay, there's the Fort Hood shooter that was a psychiatrist. He went to Virginia Tech, and he was born here in the United States. Now then, that was a program shooting. Okay, the Virginia Tech shooting. I can go on and on. There's some here, but the Sandy Hook shooter. It goes on. What's Holmes, James Holmes, the Royal Colorado. But this goes way back when I was doing the book, Larry Flint. Obviously, he endorsed me, a full-page endorsement, which I thought was nice. So I'm going to let this go here because my life has been one living hell. And I've said this, if I committed a crime, it was being born. My father didn't commit a crime. Look what happened to him and how history has left him unless it can be corrected in the truth told. All the illegal treaties and all. And I'm going to let this go now.